Hello everyone and welcome back to Cornwell Garage. I am Ben. We are working on this 1987 4Runner, and right now in this step of the process we are doing the upper shock mount. Here it is. It's a low range off-road flavor. We are also going to mount shock tabs on the axle, as well as fabricate some hangers for our new bumps, which I'll show you guys here soon. Okay, so what we're gonna do to start with is we're gonna put this laser down the center line of this axle, and we're gonna mark on the frame where the center is at full droop. And now the point of that is that we wanna have a mark at full droop and at full compression, because at full droop it's going to be closer forward, and at full compression it's going to be farther back, as this spring and the centering pin move back and forth as it extends and compresses. Now I've got it on full drop, so I'm going to make myself a little Sharpie mark here, and then what I'm going to do is put a jack underneath here the center, shove it up to closely, or what I'll do is I'll shove it up roughly to 10 inches off. If I get it within 1 or 2 inches of like the final where it's going to be set, because we got to put tires back on this and see, it won't be much of a difference along that frame, and I'll get it centered up nice. And I want this shock hanger to be centered up nice because this whole axle moves forward and back while it extends and compresses. And if it's in the center point, there's a little uniball on the bottom of the shocks, and that will accept the movement forward and back and not bind up. So we're doing that to avoid the binding and also put less stress on all our components. All right, tires are on. I'm basically gonna lift it until they're stuffed onto something. Oh yeah, we're like 1/2 inch off the front bottom piece of the fender. I'll show you guys. 8 3/4. Yeah. 8 3/4 is our absolute max I wanna go. The reason for that is I want to save these fenders. So we're barely kissing it up here, and it's plenty close up here. And I bought these shocks. Oh, might as well show you guys the shocks. I bought these shocks for a reason. I could have gone with the 16 compressed 24 length and run a strap, and probably got a couple more inches of travel or compression, but these are the 18 and 28. So I'm gonna lose that, but I'm also not gonna mess up my fenders. So here's the shocks. They are 2.5 piggybacks. Poly Performance hooked it up. They called me and told me what was available after I ordered something that wasn't. And we decided on these. And this is the new bumps. I got them long because I know I gotta reach pretty far down from the, I have to reach pretty far down from the frame to get my up travel stopped, because I don't want those tires mashing anything. Whoop. And I don't want these shocks being the bump stop, basically. You don't want your shock getting mashed together at full compression a bunch. And these are 18 3/8 and 28 3/8 compressed and extended. So I made a 1.5 inch tube shock, I guess you'd call it. I got a hole in both ends. That's 19 on center. Now that shock goes down to 18 3/8. So I figured the other 5/8 is a little bit of a wiggle room, because we don't want to actually bottom the shock out. gonna have to move this shock mount back for sure. That's picking it up. Yeah, we might have to go the inside hole, you guys, and go centered up on this on top of this spring perch. It's flat right there. That's nice. Now what I'm working on is I need to notch some more of this out, because when this is at full drop or full compression, the angle is much steeper and it's hitting only a 4 or 5, I mean probably at ride height it's probably hitting. So I've got a bulldozer that I'm going to try to use and make it work. Because what I could do is put a piece of wood behind here, maybe, and get it started. I don't know. I might just freehand it, see if it works. It might not be worth it. If not, I've got an 1/16" socket that fits like perfectly. So what I'll do is I'll just go up about 1/2 inch, well, maybe not 1/2 inch, but I'm gonna go over and up and then just go out with a grinder. And I don't want to do that, but I will. So let's give it a shot. I'm done making clearance. I'm not worried about the structure of this at all. We went up, let's see, top of that hole. I went maybe a 1/4 inch up in to make some clearance right here. And I don't think that's gonna mess with the structural quality of this, because it's kind of like a 2x4. It's structural one way, not the other. So it's up and down. I think we're really good. And the fact that it's really in line with the with the geometry of the way this axle comes up and down, I'm not worried about it. It should just give a straight push up on it. Should be good and safe. So now that that's done, I'm going to clean up again because I made a huge mess. Burned my face with some sparks. Then we'll throw these shocks on, compress it, and start working on fabricating bump stop cans and brackets onto the frame. Okay, shocks are on. It's cleaned up down here. I'm gonna throw a jack on. This will be the first time I'm really compressing all this. I wonder if the shocks will pick this up. I don't know. I did read on some tuning last night. Basically, I can set both of those. I'll probably set them all the way in, so that'd be the most compression. And then I'll go out maybe 1 or 2 full turns. And then when I start doing testing or start doing some a tuning of this, I'll go out into the desert, out in Milliken area. It's local here. And just bomb through and then start softening up till I like it. Maybe go a little bit too far. And then go back, just tune it. And then adjust the rebound as I go. So I did quite a bit of learning on that last night, and I'm going to post a video of just tuning the suspension. And my hope is I can do that before I head down to the off-road games. But if not, I know there's plenty of stuff down there I could do some tuning with. All I need is an Allen and a 13 millimeter, whatever these guys are. Yeah. So it's interesting this one's set out farther and that one's set in. Not sure why, but looks much better up here. I'm happy about it. It'll actually should be able to go up farther than what it'll actually go. So we'll see and check for clearance. What I want to do is get this up to full compression. Just check it out. And then what we're going to do is cut some square tube, put it on top of the axle, nice and flat when it's at full compression. And then we will measure again and then set and measure the cans and the bump stops and see exactly where I need to put them. And then start making brackets for that. And that might be the end of the day. And then tomorrow, I borrowed my good friend and buddy's Jimmy. He's my next door neighbor. Good friend and buddy, that's funny. Anyway, he's a next door neighbor. He's also by trade an electrician. And he's got a sweet crimper. And he's letting me use it. It's quite an expensive little tool. But I bought a bunch of copper ferrules. And what we're going to do is I'm going to cobble all 3 of these cables together somehow. I'm going to make a working park brake cable because I don't want to spend 500 bucks on that T-case one yet. And if this works, it works. If it works for a little while, I'm happy because I'm only out the 20 bucks on ferrules or whatever it ultimately is. So if that's the case, I'm pretty excited, but it might be a long term if it's nice and professional looking enough. I'll do my best to do a nice job on it, but long term plan, if that doesn't work out, is that All Pro off-road T-case park brake kit. But it's a little spendy, and I don't have time to also get that done before these games. The exhaust needs redone. I need to charge these front bumps, and I also need an alignment like no tomorrow. So we'll get that going. And if I can get some driving around, I'd be pretty excited. All right, let's press this up, see what it looks like. Oh, I can definitely feel those shocks in just the jack. Okay, that's going to be full compression. That is so exciting, you guys. So exciting. I mean, dang. Everything's clearance. Nothing's touching. Everything's all the way up. It's cycled. I need to do bump stops. The brake cables I can almost just do on jack stands back here. I'd prefer that actually. But dang, you guys, it all cycles and looks good. And I've had this up in my noggin for 3 years on how I was gonna do this. And just about maybe half actually worked out on actually translating, you know, but oh my goodness, get this thing out of my face. That is exciting. This cycles, it looks good. We've got one more step with those bump stops. We got one more step with those bump stops. Right now I think I'm gonna throw 2 tires on and check just in case how much room I can get away with from that frame. I want to make sure that they're not going to touch those bump stops. The tires, I don't want the tires to touch the bump stops. Anyway, I'm going to pop those on and we'll get back on it. Okay, so the reason I wanted to tack those on is if I did it flat here, it would turn forward by the time it gets to the top. We are done with the shock, still final install. That is exciting. I don't know why I'm overly worried about busting these shocks at all, but I shouldn't be. I'm not worried about the springs as much, because the spring will go farther than that shock. Anyway, so I'm going to pop these off, put them back in the box till we're done. Everything is clearancing. So what I need to do is figure out, and the nice thing about this pad is it took up 3/8 of an inch. These box elder bugs are all over. So I just need to measure 2.5 instead of 2 7/8 because that was 3/8. That roughly picks it up and off. And then what we'll do is center it up with this full droop or full compression pin, and then I need to bring it out however much. And what I want to do is make a bracket that not only comes out but I kind of want it to shoot up and weld in the whole bottom side of this frame, because I think that'll be extra strong, and I'd rather not put like wings on the side, because this is a lot of mass and a lot hanging out there, and I don't want any sideways movement ripping it right off. I know up and down we're going to be good, but if there's any side loads, I really want this not to get busted, because this was expensive too, just like all the crap that I bought. So, nice thing, there's a big square right here, so I'm going to measure off of it on the other side and make myself a mark. And I'm more or less just going to eyeball for center. This time when I make cardboard, I think I can just make 4 the same, because it's pretty much just a flat frame. If anything, I have 2 fronts and 2 rears, so getting this all to hold where I want it, that might be a trick, but I think if I take this out of the equation, then this shouldn't be too heavy to hold there with one of my big magnets, one of my big fabrication magnets, what do you want to call it, the 90-degree ones. And we'll just slide it out till we're good, and we like it. And obviously we have a ton of room for the tire, so I'm not going to tilt this thing at all. I'm just going to keep it at a 90. We're going to keep it simple on this guy. Yeah, we don't have a ton left, you guys. I mean, the park brake cable, I don't know why I'm dreading doing that, but I am. I freaking dinged one of these brake lines. It's the one I needed to keep, so I'm going to have to use the other one that's not dinged, plug it into the correct spot down there where the other one that is dinged, switch it around up here. I'll make it work. Okay, we're over here on the passenger side, and we're just going to start figuring this guy out. These are nice and tacked in. Good enough until it's on the jack stands for me to weld it in good. And I've got 1.5 inches here, inch and 1.25 inches, it seems like. Just getting different numbers before. It looks a lot like 1 3/8, 1 3/8. Okay, we're gonna keep that 1 3/8, 1 3/8. That'd be 3/8 and 3/8 be 6/8. That's 3/4. So 2 3/4. So we know that when this is compressed, this from this surface to this surface is 2 3/4 inches. Let's remember that. I'm gonna use a square and 90 this to make it look pretty, and then we'll come back. these bump stops are tacked in. That was quite a bit of work, but they look good and they're tacked in. So I am going to weld those in hot. We're back. I have got the leaves back together. I got the axle on. The U-bolts are somewhat tight. I'm going to start off with just kind of explaining my idea for this park brake cable. I went and got some 20 gauge steel braid, multi-purpose wire. I got some JB weld for the ferrule or the ends of the sheath when I work on it, or shorten or lengthen it, whatever happens. And then I went and got some barrel type ferrules. There we go. And these. Perfect. And the idea is, I guess on a T100 they use two brake or park brake cables to go up and to the mechanism. And on the 4Runner here, it only has one cable going back, and then it goes to like this little cantilever system where it pulls this way, and it pulls both the parking brakes opposite and locks them. But with this guy, we have two, like I just said. So I'm going to run two up to the frame, and then we'll use the double-sided one, the double barrel one. Let's see, show you guys like this, and we'll pretty much delete one right when it gets up to the frame and hook it to the main park brake cable. That way we have two going to one, and then after that we only have one coming out, and it'll connect back into the factory location. So theoretically, that one wire will pull on both, and I'll have a park brake. So to start, I'm going to put the brake hard lines back on, get that kind of all situated. I'm going to put the park brake cables back on. I'll show you guys this one. Right here is my passenger, I think it is. And why I bought that steel braid cable is because I think we're gonna have to chop this original guy out, because I bet it's not long enough at full drop. And what I'll do is I'll chop this guy, open this end up. We'll chop that other end off that goes inside the brake caliper. I'll put on a new ferrule. I'll run the line back through, and we'll retain this metal spring protective cover. And then we will leave this longer, and at least long enough to get up to that mechanism. Because what I'd like is to have this have just a little bit of slack at full drop. If that's the case, then we know when it comes up and down, we're fine. But I don't want it to be tight at full drop, just in case there's a situation where you get a little bit more, or one wheel goes down farther. We just don't want it to pull apart. Because I suppose if it did start pulling, it might actually engage the park brake, and that might throw me off, especially if I'm on the trail. That might be a little bit dangerous. It looks like this cable is only slightly bigger than this guy, so it'll work in there. And this is good for, it says 120 pound safe workload, so That should be plenty for a park brake cable. So I'm going to bolt these both in. We'll kind of put them up on the frame and start getting an idea what it looks like. Okay, we are just going to start by simply taking off this factory one. I'm going to try and leave this boot here so we can retain and use it again. I think it's pretty close to these T100 ones. So I can reuse it, hopefully. We'll see. Don't know much about this one. I'm just kind of learning as I go and making it work. You can see why people just delete these. Okay, so I'm going to roughly need from here about 24 more inches of extra sleeve, which is totally doable. And turns out this cable is going to be barely long enough. It'll have a little tension on it, that's fine. So I'm going to take this stop off because we're going to end up putting 2 cables through the factory location. I'll take the stop off, and then I'm really going to have to take my time not to cut this cable because I really want to use it this time. It saved me a little extra work. If not, we have to put a whole new barrel on the end, reuse the spring, and send a new one through, so not the end of the world, but... Okay. And drop. We have park brake. And Abigail's pretty good at pulling it. Alright, you guys, we have some working park brake cables. And with that, I'm going to bring this video to an end. The next video we'll be painting, adding that proportioning valve in, and deleting one of those brake lines. And we will also be getting an alignment and doing a little bit of driving. After 3 years, driving. That is so wild. All right, thank you guys for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe.